Hey, everybody. It is February. Love is in the air, and we're going to talk about all things love and happiness with Chris Woolsey.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am doing fabulous. I don't have that cough anymore. I'm feeling fabulous. Let's start February right.
Well, it's awesome to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
We're always glad to have you because you always give us all the wonderful things to watch. I mean, while I was sick, I do have to say, I watched so much, just everything,
Yeah.
movies, television, you name it. It was so good to have because you really can't do much when you're not feeling good. I mean, yes, I got stir crazy, and so I would stand in place and walk, but I would still watch the endless possibilities that you guys have to offer. So I'm sure you have a laundry list of wonderful things to share with us today.
That I do. So you mentioned Valentine's, and we'll focus on Redbox in this segment because Redbox has a ton of great rom-coms this month. So
Nice.
a bunch of great ones, but some of the favorites, we have Some Kind of Beautiful. I don't know if you ever saw that with Pierce Brosnan and Selma Hayek and
Mhm.
Jessica Alba. Super cute. I had missed this one somehow, but it's really good. Like, Pierce Brosnan is his usual like charming self. He plays this like Lothario British college professor who's sleeping his way through all the co-eds in the school, and comes up with Jessica Alba, and understandably falls in love. They get married. She gets pregnant, and which sort of panics him, but then he just makes this decision. He's like, I'm gonna be a dad. And so they have a baby, and he moves to the States and meets Selma Hayek, who is her sister, which is a ridiculous gene pool to be swimming in between the two of them. And then all of a sudden, Jessica Alba tells him that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. And so suddenly he's a single dad with a child that he wasn't sure he was going to be able to parent to begin with. And now he's sort of doing this on his own. So and then I'm not going to blow it because I'm not that guy, but there is sort of a romantic triangle that starts up with the sister of being Selma Hayek. So,
I mean, if you had to pick a triangle, I mean,
boy.
I don't know if I'd even pass that one up, but I mean,
Yeah,
you
there.
know,
That's quite a pair there, boy.
yeah, no, you're right with the gene pool. I remember seeing it. I have no clue how it ends, so I'm glad Redbox has it because
Okay.
I'll go watch it again because I'm like, I remember that one. Like, I remember the cast.
Yeah, it's
Nothing about.
very funny. I was pleasantly surprised. It's great.
Okay, good. I'll go back and rewatch that one because I remember nothing.
Okay, perfect. We also have A Little Bit of Heaven, which was is a 2011 film starring Kate Hudson, and it's an interesting rom-com because it kind of has all the elements of a rom-com, and yet the way they build the story is pretty unconventional. So you have Kate Hudson is this like type A business woman. She's like a marketing executive, lives, eats, breathes work, and suddenly she's diagnosed with cancer and has to go into cancer treatment. And in the process, she meets her doctor through this treatment, and it's Gail Garcia Bernal, and they fall in love. So it kind of has all, like I said, it has all the elements of a normal rom-com, but it's kind of in a experience that not many of these have, in that she's going through a cancer treatment while all this is going on.
Well, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's good. And I have to say, Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones, I know, who doesn't love him, is in this, and it, next to Elf, it might be the funniest role I've ever seen him do. It's brilliant. Okay, he plays a stripper. I'm just gonna say it.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, so you got to watch it just for
Okay,
that.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
No, he has, his talent. It's amazing what he can do. Like
Right.
his range, his acting range is just amazing.
Oh
And
yeah.
just if you kind of learn about his story,
Hmm.
basically rags to riches kind of thing, but
Yeah.
he's just such a humble, amazing human being. You're
Yeah.
like,
He's a
you just
human
want to
being. Yeah.
see him
Yep.
just far surpass anything that he even thinks that he can do, because he just seems like such an amazing person. And I
Yeah.
hope nothing ever comes out to say otherwise, because
Right.
you just don't want that. It's like
No.
Mr. Rogers, don't ever say anything,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
leave it
For
alone.
sure.
So that's
Yep.
how I feel about Peter Dinklage. So all right, that's a cool one to check out. I will definitely.
Agreed. In the more of the kind of the fun category, we've got The X with Zach Braff and Jason Bateman. This was from 2006. It's hysterical. So when you watch like Cable Guy or Meet the Parents, and you just like the main character is on this like downward spiral, and more people believe that he's insane as it goes on, and you're like, just stop talking, just don't say anything to anyone, because every time you open your mouth it just gets worse. And that's this film. So Zach Braff plays a guy who has to get a job at his father-in-law, played by Charles Grodin, at his marketing firm, and come to find out Jason Bateman is Zach Braff's wife's ex-boyfriend, and he works there as well. And it's one of those ones where you're just like, turn the camera off, please, just turn the camera off. I cannot watch this scene anymore. It's too painful. It's awesome. I
love
love
that
it.
you say it's awesome, but see, so I have this thing where anytime I watch, it's almost every Ben Stiller movie, because he kind of plays that person all the time. I'm like, I can't watch it, but I like Zach Braff. So I think, look, I'll still give it a try. What's it going to hurt? I miss a couple hours of something. I can totally do it. I'll get through it.
It's great. And Jason Bateman is,
he's Jason Bateman.
Come on.
Freaking hilarious.
Always great.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, I'll check that out. I might cringe a little bit, but
you will. There's one scene in particular that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's painful. But yeah, it's great.
Okay. Well, I'll still check it out.
Okay, good. And then in the completely unconventional rom-com world, we have Lars and the Real Girl. Ryan Gosling. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I didn't.
Okay, this is a phenomenal film. It is probably one of my, and I'm not overstating this, it's probably one of my top 20 independent films of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ryan Gosling plays a guy in a small town in the Northeast. They don't get into specifics, but he's on the spectrum somewhere. He's a loner. Everybody in town really likes him, but he's just, because of whatever situation he's dealing with physically, he's just sort of in his own place. But he somehow decides that he wants a partner, and he orders a synthetic woman off the internet. And he then takes her around town as if she is a real woman. So hence Lars and the Real Girl. Wow. And it's about the town rallying around him because they love him so much that it's almost like someone with, when you see someone with Alzheimer's and the caretaker is kind of doing that improv yes and, no matter what they say, they just kind of affirm it and move forward. And he goes to this small Baptist church, and the church does the same thing, and everybody just welcomes this inanimate object in as his partner, and it's lovely and very heartwarming. And I'm not going to give any more away, but it's keep your Kleenex next to you because you're going to need it. But it's a phenomenal film.
I remember hearing about that one. I'm not sure why I didn't watch it, but that's definitely on the watch list because he's, again, another great actor.
Yeah.
And you would just think that would be the most hilarious type of situation, but If you're saying Kleenex, all right,
It's very, there's a ton of comedy in it for
yeah.
sure, but then there's also these very touching moments. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. All right.
It's great.
I will obviously check that one out as well.
All right, awesome. And then, because, we have obviously Valentine's Day in February, but we also have the big game. And so because the big game is coming, and the name that shall not be named, um, to protect all involved from legality. We've got a ton of great football films this month as well. So we have one called Underdogs with DB Sweeney, who you might remember from 8 Men Out, which is another one of my favorite sports film of all time.
Really?
And this is just like, if you remember the basketball movie Hoosiers, this is pretty much Hoosiers with football. So you've got these two teams. One is like the poor working class from the wrong side of the tracks, and then you've got this other team that's like from the rich neighborhood, and they always beat the tar out of the working class team because they've got better facilities, better practice equipment, blah blah blah. And this year the underdogs decide that this is where they draw the line in the sand. So it's exactly what you want it to be if you're looking for an inspirational sports film. But the performances are great. The story is fantastic. It's just a great little film, but I highly recommend it leading up to the big game this weekend. It's a fun one. We also have Touchback with Kurt Russell. And this one's really cool. It's basically The Longest Yard meets It's a Wonderful Life. So you've got this high school phenom quarterback, clearly on his way to the NFL, cleaning up every record possible. And in the last play of the last game of his senior year, he splinters his leg. And it keeps him, obviously destroys his chances for a career. Cut to 20 years later, 15 years later, I guess it is. And he's a struggling farmer, just barely keeping out of bankruptcy, and decides that his life is worth more dead than alive. And so he decides he's going to take his own life. And in the process of doing that, he's actually transported back 15 years to the week of the big game. And he can now make different decisions so that his life turns out differently. It's great. And Kurt Russell, I mean, what a shock. He's spectacular. Yeah. It's a great movie. Again, very heartwarming. And, he learns that through the process that maybe success ultimately didn't look like what he thought it was going to look like.
Right.
So yeah, it's really good. That's called Touchback, and that's on Redbox as well. So really good. We've got a goofy one in there, just to throw a little variety in the football category, and that is The 60-Yard Line. Great movie based on a true story, actually, and it's about a Packers super fan. And if you know anything about the Green Bay Packers, to call someone a super fan is really high praise indeed, because anybody that would sit out in a football game when it's 20 below zero is clearly out of their mind and already an amazing fan. But this guy was like super fan 99. And so he bought a house that was like 50 feet from the front gate of Lambeau Field.
Oh my.
And then he opened it up to all the Packers fans to come hang out at before the game starts. So he called his house the 60-Yard Line. And he just thought that because he was such a big fan, he was like, this is going to make my life complete. But no, it actually made his life a living hell. And it's hilarious, really funny, really well done. The performances are spectacular. So if you're looking for some football chuckles, the 60-Yard Line is definitely the way to go.
Oh my God, that sounds great. It's funny because I always tell people, especially who aren't sports fans, I'm not the hugest sports fan. I do like going to games. I actually like it better live than watching TV, except for hockey. Hockey's a little, well, no, I do like being at the stadiums for hockey. That's a lot of fun. But I always tell people just watch the sports movies, because a lot of times, more often than not, they're really good.
Oh yeah.
And they're inspirational and they're funny, but they're still like, even things like the replacements and things like that. Like there's so many good ones out there. You don't have to really know what's going on with the game, but still
No.
watch the movie, you know?
No, Rudy, it doesn't matter if you know football, but
Oh,
you're going to cry at the last scene in Rudy, no matter what you
Jamie
feel
cries
about
all
the
the time.
sport.
He's going to be mad at me for saying that, but he cries all the time at Rudy.
Who does?
Jamie, you met
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the time. All
I
the
don't trust people that don't cry at Rudy. I think
Yeah, you
they have
have
a
no
problem,
soul. You have no
right?
soul if you don't cry.
Thank you. Thank you. And then just to round it out, we have a football documentary that, and I think we've talked about this before, that I'm a huge documentary fan. This is maybe my favorite sports documentary of all time. And this is called 85, the greatest team in football history. And it goes through the 85 Chicago Bears.
Oh,
And it is amazing. So not only do you get to see Mike Ditka and Jim McMahon and Refrigerator Perry and Mike Singletary and all the huge names from the 85 Chicago Bears, but they also bring in all of these celebrities that lived in Chicago while this was going on. So you get to hear from Bill Murray and Jeremy Piven and the Bears guys from SNL, and freaking Barack Obama is in this because he was in Chicago politics at the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be really good. Because look,
It's
I used to watch SNL all the time, and you would have, you know, those guys, and they're sitting in the bar, the Bears, and you're like, what is this? And then we would kind of watch all the recaps of stuff because, again, kid don't really watch a lot of sports, you know, but man, they had some great stuff going on during that time. Like,
oh yeah, and apparently, and they go into it in depth in the documentary, but Chicago sports had been in the toilet for so many years before the Bears came on the scene that like the whole town hated all of their sports teams. And so when this team finally showed up and everybody was like, they're gonna stink just like everybody, and then they just start cleaning up the field with every team in the NFL. And so like the entire city came to life and like supported, and they were just talking about how like it gave so much life to kind of a depressed city. It's a very good documentary, and that's 85, the greatest team in football history.
All right, tuning into that one because I love a good documentary. So,
yep, yeah.
Wow,
well, I think I've given you quite a bit from Redbox for between Valentine's and the big game.
Yeah, we've got, look at that, so much to offer. You've got a lot of love. Well, I mean, look, you love sports too, so it's, you know, it's very fitting for the month.
Yep.
Wow.
And just remember, you can watch at redbox.com, or you can download the Redbox app for your phone, your tablet, your connected TV at your favorite app store, and it will definitely be there.
Awesome. And not that you can forget, but we'll also link it down in the description below. So
beautiful.
It's really, you can't really forget redbox.com. It's a little too easy. So if you forget though, it'll be in there for you.
And it's always free. So
that is the ding 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 word. We love free.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for all of that. That's going to be amazing. It's, you know, take up more of my time. But again, like I said, it's the best way to work out. Just bring that with you to the gym. I get all my TV in that way now.
Absolutely. Yepper.
Well, thanks so much for that.
Hey, you bet. And I look forward to coming back, and we'll talk Crackle next time.
All right. Thanks. Good to see you. All
right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.